The diner smelled of stale coffee and frying grease, sunlight streaking through the dusty windows, illuminating every scuff on the linoleum floor. Lily sat in her wheelchair at the corner booth, her hands clutching the edges of the table as the laughter from the other side of the room pierced her like a sharp knife. 3 teenagers, tall and loud, had cornered her, mocking her every movement. One of them, a boy with a cruel grin, had slapped her arm roughly just moments before. "What's the matter, cripple? Gonna cry?" he sneered. The words echoed through the diner, making even the normally chatty waitress flinch. Lily's lips trembled as tears welled up in her eyes. She had faced teasing before, but the harshness of that physical strike shook her to the core. Around her, the other customers avoided eye contact, shifting uncomfortably in their seats, unsure of how, or whether, to intervene. The clatter of dishes, the hiss of the grill, and the faint hum of the jukebox created a surreal backdrop to the tension. She tried to shrink into herself, hoping the torment would end, but the bullies only laughed louder. "No one's gonna save you," one whispered, leaning close. "You're all alone here." Just as Lily's breathing grew shallow, the front door burst open with a sudden, thunderous roar of Harley-Davidsons. The sound rolled across the street like a physical force, drowning out the jukebox and even the chatter of the bullies. Sunlight caught the chrome of the motorcycles, making them glint like steel predators descending into the diner. Heads turned. The 3 bullies froze, their bravado faltering in the face of the unmistakable presence of leather, tattoos, and the raw aura of authority that came with Hell's Angels. 4 bikers stepped inside, boots heavy against the linoleum, leather creaking as they moved toward the booth where Lily sat, trembling. Stonehand, the apparent leader, locked eyes with the teens. His voice was low but cutting, each word deliberate and measured. "You touched her. You crossed a line. And some lines, you don't get to step back over." The bullies laughed nervously, trying to play it off, but the air in the diner had changed. Fear replaced arrogance. The bikers weren't here to argue, they were here to deliver an unspoken verdict. Lily's eyes widened as one of the bikers crouched slightly to meet her gaze. "You're safe now," he said gently. "No one here is going to hurt you again." The bullies' knees grew weak under the intensity of the silent, commanding presence surrounding them. For the first time, Lily felt a glimmer of hope, like sunlight breaking through a storm cloud. Then, the tension ratcheted higher. The tallest bully, desperate to salvage his pride, took a step forward. "You think you can scare us with your—" Stonehand's hand shot out, pointing with unwavering authority. "One more step, and you'll regret every choice you ever made in that diner. You got that?" The diner seemed to hold its breath. The bullies froze mid-motion, realizing that this wasn't idle threat or empty posturing. The room, once filled with the sounds of chaos, had turned into a stage for justice, and Lily's silent courage was the center of it all. The smallest of the bullies swallowed hard, sweat glistening on his forehead. We're leaving," he stammered, backing toward the door. Stonehand's gaze never wavered. "Good choice." As the bullies slunk out, defeated, Lily finally exhaled, trembling but safe. She looked up at the bikers, eyes wide with a mixture of awe and relief. Thank you," she whispered. Stonehand nodded, his expression softening just slightly. "No, thank you. For holding on. For staying strong when it mattered most." The sunlight streaming through the diner windows caught the chrome of the bikes outside, glinting like a promise. But even as the door closed behind the departing bullies, there was an unspoken understanding among the bikers. The world wouldn't always be this easy. The next challenge was just around the corner, waiting to test their loyalty, courage, and Lily's growing strength. The diner had returned to a cautious calm, but the air still carried the weight of the morning's tension. Lily sat in her wheelchair at the booth, her small hands gripping the edges tightly, her knuckles white. The sound of sizzling on the grill and the clatter of plates no longer felt threatening. It was almost comforting, a reminder that life still moved forward despite yesterday's fear. Stonehand leaned against the table in front of her, his large frame blocking any sense of vulnerability. Razor and Tank, the other 2 bikers, positioned themselves near the entrance, their eyes scanning the street with quiet intensity. Each movement, each glance, exuded the kind of vigilance that only came from years of protecting the people who couldn't protect themselves. "You did good today," Stonehand said softly, kneeling slightly to meet Lily's gaze. "Not everyone has the courage to stay in the room when people try to tear them down. You stayed." Lily bit her lip, uncertainty and relief warring in her eyes. "But, what if they come back?" Razor crouched beside her chair, voice low but steady. "Then we'll be ready. And you won't face them alone. Not now, not ever." Outside, the sunlight glinted off the chrome of the Harleys parked in a semicircle, casting long shadows across the street. The bikers' presence was a silent promise to anyone who might think to cause harm. The road was no longer theirs alone. Just then, a figure appeared in the distance, moving toward the diner with a casual, almost arrogant stride. It was one of the older bullies, his expression hardened with resentment, clearly planning a return. Stonehand's eyes narrowed, his body tensing as he assessed the threat. "Stay here," he instructed Lily quietly. "And stay calm." The biker leader stepped outside, his crew flanking him as he approached the bully, who had clearly underestimated the reach and resolve of the Hell's Angels. "You thought you could come back?" Stonehand's voice was calm but carried the weight of steel. "Wrong. You're done here. Walk away, and I'll consider this mercy." The bully hesitated, realizing the gravity of his mistake. He had tried to intimidate a child, and now the world had changed on him. Slowly, carefully, he turned and retreated down the street, swallowed by the afternoon sunlight. Inside, Lily exhaled slowly, her shoulders sagging in relief. "They really won't come back." Stonehand shook his head. "Not if they know what loyalty means. And anyone who sees loyalty in action learns respect fast." Carly, a quiet but sharp-eyed member of the crew, adjusted Lily's hair. "You see what I mean," she said softly. "Courage isn't just about standing up, it's about knowing who stands behind you. And right now, you've got a whole wall of it." As the afternoon stretched on, Lily began to feel a sense of belonging she had never known. The bikers didn't just ride motorcycles, they rode as guardians, protectors of the innocent, bearers of justice in a world that could often be cruel. Stonehand looked at Lily, a soft smile tugging at the corner of his mouth. "The world can be harsh, kid. But you'll never face it alone. That's a promise." Outside, the Harleys gleamed under the sun, silent witnesses to a quiet but powerful victory. For Lily, it wasn't just a reprieve from fear, it was a lesson in courage, trust, and the kind of protection that could change a life forever. The next morning, the diner felt different. The air was lighter, though the tension of the previous day lingered like a shadow at the edges. Lily arrived early, pushing herself in her wheelchair, her hands trembling slightly but her chin held high. Today, she wasn't just a child trying to survive. She was a girl learning that courage could be nurtured, protected, and rewarded. Stonehand, Razor, and Tank arrived soon after, their Harleys parked strategically outside. The engines purred softly, a gentle reminder that they were always nearby, guardians in black leather and chrome. As they entered the diner, they carried no weapons, only presence. Each step was deliberate, a statement that safety and loyalty often required no threats at all. "Good morning, Lily," Stonehand said, crouching slightly so their eyes met. "Feeling stronger today?" Lily nodded, still quiet but more certain. I think so." Razor leaned against the booth, arms crossed, his sharp gaze sweeping the diner. "Remember what we said yesterday. Courage isn't about never being scared, it's about facing fear with someone by your side. And you've got us." Tank added, voice low and deliberate, "Sometimes, people test that courage. That's when you know if it's real." Their presence was more than protective, it was a lesson. Lily absorbed every word, every glance, every subtle movement of the bikers. She noticed how they communicated without speaking, how loyalty was expressed in small gestures as much as in actions. Just then, a group of older bullies entered the diner, likely emboldened by the absence of yesterday's chaos. They moved with the casual arrogance of those who think they are untouchable. But the moment they spotted the bikers, the atmosphere shifted. The air grew heavy with unspoken tension. One of the teens sneered, trying to regain control of the room. "Looks like we missed yesterday's show." Stonehand's hand rested lightly on the back of a chair, the smallest gesture carrying immense weight. "You made a mistake yesterday," he said, voice calm but firm. "And you're about to make another if you don't leave right now." The bullies hesitated, their bravado faltering. They hadn't counted on a wall of vigilance that exuded patience, experience, and authority all at once. Stonehand's eyes didn't waver, Razor and Tank mirrored his stance, and the diner itself seemed to hold its breath. Lily, for the first time, felt a flicker of real power. She didn't need to say a word, the biker's presence was a shield. Courage, she realized, wasn't just in the body, it was in the space you allowed yourself to occupy, in the knowledge that those who truly care would never let you fall. The bullies, sensing the unshakable resolve around them, finally muttered curses under their breath and left. The diner exhaled with them, plates clinking softly, chairs scraping back. Lily looked up at Stonehand, voice barely a whisper. They left." Stonehand nodded. "Yeah, they did. And they won't come back. Not while we're around. You see, courage works best when it's shared." Carly, always attentive, knelt beside Lily. "And never forget, kid, sometimes courage looks small, like staying in your seat. But staying there while standing tall, that's strength no one can take from you." The sunlight poured through the windows, glinting off the chrome of the bikes outside, painting the diner in gold. Lily realized something profound. Protection wasn't just physical. It was loyalty, vigilance, and the quiet certainty that some people would always have her back. And for the first time in a long while, she felt safe. Not just shielded from harm, but truly, deeply, unshakably safe. The next day, Lily arrived at the diner earlier than usual, pushing herself forward with a determination that surprised even her. The memory of yesterday's fear still lingered, but it was tempered now by the quiet confidence that came from knowing she was not alone. Sunlight streamed through the windows, glinting off the chrome of the Harleys parked outside, casting long, protective shadows across the street. Stonehand, Razor, and Tank arrived shortly after, their boots thudding against the linoleum floor with a rhythm that felt almost ceremonial. They didn't need to speak loudly, their presence alone demanded respect. Carly, the sharp-eyed and quietly compassionate member of the crew, followed behind, placing a reassuring hand on Lily's shoulder. "Morning, kid," Stonehand said, crouching slightly to meet her gaze. "Ready for today?" Lily nodded, her hands gripping the edges of her wheelchair. I think so. I'm not scared like yesterday." "You should feel that way," Razor added, leaning casually against the booth. "Because courage isn't about never being scared, it's about staying put, standing tall, and letting the right people have your back." As they spoke, the door swung open. A group of teenagers, older, rougher, clearly emboldened by yesterday's retreat, ambled in, glancing around as though trying to gauge the room. Their sneers were less confident this time, their steps hesitant, but the tension in the diner spiked instantly. Stonehand rose slowly, moving toward the group with deliberate calm. "You're here again," he said, voice steady, eyes like steel. "Do you want to test yourself, or do you want to walk out and keep your dignity?" The teens exchanged nervous glances. One of them, the tallest, tried to regain a shred of arrogance. We just wanted." "You wanted to hurt a girl." Stonehand interrupted, hand resting lightly on the back of a chair. "Wrong choice. And here's your chance to fix it. Leave. Walk out. Learn respect." Razor and Tank flanked him, their presence silent but imposing. The diner seemed to hold its breath. Even the waitress paused mid-step, plates balanced in her hands, sensing the gravity of the moment. After a tense beat, the teens muttered curses and fled, realizing the power they faced. The sound of their footsteps faded down the street, leaving behind a profound silence. Lily exhaled, her hands loosening slightly on the wheelchair arms. "They really left," she whispered. Carly knelt beside her. "See what I mean? Courage doesn't always roar. Sometimes it sits quietly, knowing that loyalty has teeth. Stonehand crouched slightly, resting a hand gently on Lily's shoulder. Today, you learned something important. People will test you, yes. But the people who care will never let you face it alone. That's what family looks like. Outside, the Harleys gleamed under the afternoon sun, chrome reflecting the golden light like symbols of guardianship. Lily realized that the bikers weren't just protectors, they were teachers. They taught her that courage, loyalty, and kindness could combine into something stronger than fear. As the afternoon wore on, laughter returned to the diner. Not just the polite chatter of customers, but Lily's quiet giggles as Carly teased her gently. The warmth of the sun, the steady presence of the bikers, and the lesson of yesterday all coalesced into a simple truth. True protection isn't about muscle or weapons, it's about standing together, unwavering, for the people who matter most. And for the first time, Lily felt that she truly mattered. The following morning, the diner seemed almost peaceful, the warm sunlight spilling across tables and floor tiles. Lily pushed herself into the familiar corner booth, her heart lighter, though she remained alert. Courage was a skill she was learning, and she knew better than anyone that threats often came when you least expected them. Outside, the distant hum of motorcycles rolled past, a comforting reminder that the bikers were never far. Stonehand, Razor, and Tank arrived soon after, entering with quiet authority. Carly followed, carrying a small thermos of hot chocolate for Lily. Their presence made the diner feel less like a vulnerable space and more like a sanctuary. "You've been brave," Stonehand said softly, kneeling near Lily's chair. "And you're learning fast. But the world doesn't always reward bravery right away." Lily tilted her head. "Does that mean they might come back?" Razor crouched beside her, voice calm. "Maybe. But that doesn't matter. What matters is that we're ready. And you've learned how to stand, even when it's scary." Just as the words settled, the front door creaked open. A figure lingered at the threshold, partially hidden in the sunlight. A group of older teens, the remnants of yesterday's bullies, had returned, clearly emboldened by arrogance and doubt. They exchanged cautious glances, sizing up the diner and the people inside. Stonehand's eyes narrowed. "Stay calm, Lily," he whispered, though his voice carried the steel of command. The bikers spread slightly, forming a silent protective perimeter around her. The bullies took a few tentative steps inside, their bravado faltering under the unyielding presence of the angels. We just wanted to talk," one muttered, sweat gleaming on his forehead. Stonehand didn't flinch. "You've had your chance. One more step, and you'll regret it." The diner seemed to hold its breath, the hum of the refrigerator and the clatter of dishes fading into silence. The teens, sensing the weight of unspoken judgment and loyalty surrounding Lily, finally backed away, muttering curses and retreating down the street. Lily exhaled slowly, trembling but relieved. They really left this time. Tank nodded. "Yeah. And they won't be back. People who see what loyalty looks like, they remember it." Stonehand crouched beside her, resting a hand gently on her shoulder. Courage isn't about fighting every battle. Sometimes, it's about letting the right people fight for you, and learning that standing strong isn't weakness. It's power. Carly smiled, adjusting Lily's hair. "You're stronger than you think. Today, you learned that bravery can be quiet and still, but it changes everything." Outside, the Harleys gleamed in the afternoon sun, their presence a symbol of unwavering guardianship. Lily understood now that protection wasn't just physical, it was the constant, steady support of those who would never abandon you. The diner buzzed back to life, but the lesson lingered. Lily felt it in her chest, in the warmth of the sun, and in the quiet assurance of the bikers around her. Courage, loyalty, and protection could turn fear into safety, and isolation into belonging. And for the first time, she smiled freely, knowing she was never truly alone. The next day dawned bright and clear, sunlight spilling across the small town in golden streaks. Lily wheeled herself to the diner, her movement steadier now, each push of the wheels carrying more confidence than fear. She had learned a lesson that went beyond the simple avoidance of bullies. Courage was about standing tall, trusting others, and knowing she was not alone. Stonehand, Razor, Tank, and Carly arrived in perfect timing, their presence a steadying force. Outside, the Harleys gleamed like sentinels, reflecting sunlight and symbolizing unwavering protection. Customers entered and left the diner, but Lily barely noticed them. Her focus was on the family she had discovered in these bikers. "Morning, kid," Stonehand said softly, crouching near her. "Ready to keep learning today?" Lily nodded, a small but determined smile crossing her face. "Yes. I want to get stronger." Razor added, leaning casually against the booth, "Strength isn't just muscles. It's knowing when to stand, when to ask for help, and when to let someone have your back. You've already learned that part." The lesson was interrupted by the distant rumble of motorcycles. A rival gang had been spotted near the outskirts of town, likely scouting for trouble. The bikers moved quickly, coordinating silently, the precision and loyalty of their brotherhood on full display. For Lily, watching them, it was like witnessing guardians in motion. Every glance, every gesture carried meaning. Stonehand's hand rested lightly on Lily's shoulder. "Remember, kid, fear is only powerful if you let it be. But courage? Courage grows stronger when you share it." The bikers rode out briefly, returning with confirmation that the rival gang had left the area. Lily's heart swelled. These were real, tangible lessons. Courage backed by loyalty could reshape the world around her, turning danger into safety, isolation into community. Later, as the sun dipped toward the horizon, the bikers and Lily gathered outside. The glow of the setting sun caught their silhouettes, chrome and leather gleaming like guardians of justice. Lily wheeled herself forward, finally understanding the true meaning of the word family. "You've come a long way," Carly said softly, kneeling beside her. "And this isn't the end. You'll keep learning, keep growing, and you'll never face the world alone again." Lily's eyes glistened with tears of relief and newfound strength. She glanced at Stonehand. "Thank you, for teaching me courage. For protecting me." Stonehand smiled faintly. "No, thank you. For trusting us. For staying strong. That's what makes all the difference." The bikers mounted their Harleys and rode off down the sunlit street, leaving behind a trail of rumbling engines, shining chrome, and an unmistakable message. Loyalty, courage, and protection could transform fear into strength, and vulnerability into resilience. For Lily, the world had changed. She had discovered the power of guardianship, the quiet heroism in standing together, and the life-altering impact of loyalty in motion. The diner glowed in the warm morning light, the sunlight reflecting off the chrome of the Harleys parked outside. Lily sat in her wheelchair at her usual corner booth, her hands folded calmly on the table. She no longer flinched at loud noises or worried about the bullies. She had learned that courage was not just about fighting back, but about knowing who had her back. Stonehand, Razor, Tank, and Carly entered quietly, their presence steady and reassuring. No words were needed. Lily could feel the protective energy of the bikers, a living shield of loyalty and strength. They didn't need to intimidate, they simply existed, a reminder that she was safe, valued, and seen. "Morning, Lily," Stonehand said, crouching to meet her eyes. "Today, you rest. You've learned everything you need to know about courage and trust. And we'll always be here." Lily smiled, a radiant, unburdened smile. "I get it now. Courage isn't about being alone. It's about knowing people will stand with you." Razor nodded. "Exactly. And anyone who's brave enough to stay, even when scared, they earn respect. And protection. Always." The diner was filled with the quiet sounds of breakfast, laughter, and the distant hum of engines on the street. Outside, the sun glinted off the chrome of the motorcycles, a symbol of loyalty, vigilance, and unwavering moral strength. Lily realized she had not just survived, she had grown. She had discovered that courage could be nurtured, fear could be transformed, and kindness could ripple outward, changing lives. Stonehand placed a hand on her shoulder gently. "You've done well, kid. Always remember, doing the right thing isn't always easy, but it's always worth it. Stand tall, trust the right people, and never let anyone diminish your strength." Lily nodded, her chest swelling with quiet pride. The bikers mounted their Harleys and rode out into the bright sunlight, leaving behind a trail of roaring engines, a reminder that loyalty and protection were not just ideas, they were lived, breathed, and felt in every action. Courage is strongest when it's shared with those who stand by your side. True protection comes from loyalty, vigilance, and unwavering moral strength. Acts of kindness, no matter how small, can ripple outward to change lives. Standing tall, even when afraid, transforms fear into resilience and hope. And the bonds we build through courage and trust create a family far beyond blood, a family that endures, protects, and inspires.